Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Alright, so in this video I'll be explaining in clear terms what grain line means, how you can use grain lines, and the effect of grain lines really on your pattern and on your fabric. There are different people who fall into different categories. Some don't really know what grain line means. In fact, some don't even know it exists at all, and some don't, they see it but they just feel, oh, it's just a line on the pattern. And some don't really know the effects, like the how weighty, how big the effect of you having your grain lines or not following your grain lines. They don't know the effect of that on the garment. So in this video I'll just be explaining in clear terms what your grain line is, the effects of your grain line, and how to use your grain line. Alright, so what does a grain line means? A grain line is from the word grain and line, and it simply means the direction of the grain on the fabric. The direction of the grain on the fabric. So it means that for every fabric, your fabrics are made up of different threads woven into each other. And so we have different types of grains on your, when weaving your fabric, right? The way they create fabrics, there's a fabric that has, there's a grain that has a stronger thread, and there's another one that has a less stronger thread. So grain in that context simply just means the direction of the threads, how your threads are going. Let's use this. Okay, can you see this? Now this is clear. You will see different lines on the fabric. This is a plain fabric actually, but you will see different lines moving in different directions. So you see some coming this way, some coming this way. Those are the directions of grains, the direction of the thread. And these directions actually matter when placing your pattern on the fabric. They help in determining how your fabric is going to behave, or how your garment is going to relax on your body, or how it's going to stay fitted on your body. Okay, so when you get your grain lines wrong, no matter what pattern you used, whether you used the most perfect pattern in the world and you even drafted it so well, as long as you did not follow the direction of your grain line when cutting on fabric, the fabric is not going to relax. I don't know if you've seen a situation whereby someone is wearing a dress or a blouse, and then maybe one shoulder is relaxing and the other one is just shaky, is not relaxing. And then if you check the pattern the person used, the pattern is accurate and perfect, but the person just cut and didn't really bother on how they were cutting. In fashion designing, there's an aspect of cutting and there's an aspect of drafting, and there's even an aspect of sewing. Each of those aspects needs attention. Okay, so I'll be talking to you about the different types of grain lines that we have. We have 3 different types of grain lines, as I'll be showing you. We have the crosswise grain, we have the lengthwise grain, and then we have the bias. So I'll show you on the fabric and then I'll draw on the paper. So those parts with loose edges, and then you have some dots here. This is called the salvage parts. You have this, every fabric has salvage. Salvage is the part where, when you are buying in the market, they measure. That's the place where they measure in yards. So if you say, oh, I want to buy 5 yards, that part where they measure to count the number of yards you are buying, that's the salvage area. It's the tighten woven part. It's the part where the machine finishes off neatly. In Nigeria, it's popularly known as etiaje. You have it on different fabrics. You even have them on lace, but they are more designed on lace. You see different designs on the lace. Okay, so that's the selvage. And then the threads that are parallel, that run parallel to the selvage. So when I say parallel, it means lines that are parallel. They are just the same. They could also be like this. They are parallel. Okay, so the threads that run, you might not see the threads one by one because it's like the way the threads are being woven, they go into each other like this, go into each other this way. Okay, so you might not see, so those ones that run this parallel to the selvage, so they go like this, run parallel to the selvage, they are called the lengthwise grain. And they, another name for it is also called wap. And then the ones that are adjacent, they are adjacent to, they run adjacent to the selvage. That is, they run straight this way to the selvage, adjacent to the selvage. Those ones are called the crosswise grain, also called weft. So I'm just going to do a quick drawing here. I'll just draw probably a box for you to see. You know, it's just the same thing I've shown you on the fabric, but just so that you see it more on the paper. Okay, so I'm doing this to just show. So let's say this is a fabric now. Let's say this is like, I bought 1 yard of fabric from the market. This part is the selvage, this part is the selvage. Okay, this is the selvage. This part is that length part. You know, when you are buying material in the market and they say, oh, it's by 60, this is the part where they mean is by 60. Is this part where they measure the number of yards you want to buy. So if you say you want to buy 50 yards, 20 yards, this is where they measure. And then if you say, oh, the fabric is by what length, this is by, maybe you say by 60 or whatever. So I hope you understand that. Now when you have your selvage and then you have this part, what I'm trying to explain basically is that when it runs, the threads that run parallel to the selvage, so parallel to selvage means the arrows are facing this length part, they are called the lengthwise grain, or also called wap. Okay, they are called the lengthwise grain, or also called wap. Then the one that runs opposite, pointing towards the selvage, that is called crosswise grain, and it's also known as weft. Okay, crosswise grain and also known as weft. We'll be looking at them briefly. Then the one that goes at an angle 45. So we've identified the crosswise, the lengthwise. Then the one that goes in between it as an angle this way is called the bias. Please just stay with me. This is not as difficult as you think it is. This is the bias. Okay, so now let me show you that on the fabric. So we've identified that this is our selvage, right? So what I've simply drawn is this. So this arrow is showing this is a lengthwise grain, and this one is showing that, so this is supposed to extend all the way up, this is supposed to extend all the way, and then this is showing that this is a crosswise, and then this way is the bias. This way is the bias. Okay, so when you are drafting your pattern, now let's move to the pattern so you understand better. So when drafting your pattern, after you are done drafting your pattern, here we have a pattern. This is the front, this is the back. Okay, so I'll be showing us from the front and from the back. When drafting your pattern, these patterns are without grain lines. Your pattern is incomplete without your grain lines, because with this I don't know exactly how to place my pattern, and then I see a lot of these, but it's important to do it the right way. Put your grain lines. This will help you knowing how to place your pattern on your fabric. So how do you place your pattern on your fabric? Always note, number one, that your grain line is always parallel to the center front. Remember I said parallel lines, it could be straight like this. They are parallel, they are just the same way together. They are always parallel to the center front. So this is your center front, this is your center front, and then you just draw a line beside it, extending from top to bottom, and then you put an arrow on top and at the bottom, and this is your grain line. This is your grain line. Okay, so you can see there are two parallel lines. Your center front, your grain line has to be parallel to your center front in all cases. Most times your center front is always straight. And then for the center back, how do I put for the center back? Note, my center back is not straight. This is actually a slanted CB. I've removed some tightening. I've done some tightening around here. So how do I get my parallel line? Because if I follow this line to draw my grain line, it's going to be slanted and different from this. And then if I do this, I'm going to have issues with my pattern, because if I cut following this grain line, which is slanted, even though you can't see that, it might not be too obvious for you to see it's slanted, but it's actually slanted. If I do this and cut on my fabric, the direction of the threads here will be different from the direction of the thread here on the fabric. And what that does is that it makes your garments unstable. It makes your, it now looks like I made, let's say this is the front, this is the front, and you made something like this, and the thread is running this way. The reality is you don't get to see, because what you are seeing is just a plain pattern, but fabrics have behaviors. Fabrics have behaviors. There's something called fabric behavior, and then you need to understand that. Okay, so this is the front. The lines, the threads are coming like this, but the back, because of the way you placed it, the threads are now coming like this. It might not be very obvious to you, but that's why you have to pay serious attention when drafting. So if it comes like this part might allow the fabric to stretch where this place is firm. The fabric, the way you place it here, maybe it's firm here, but yeah, it allows it to stretch. So it means that when this place is balanced, one part of this keeps shifting, and then your customers say, oh, it's not balanced, it's not this, and you're wondering, I used the perfect pattern, everything was okay, what's wrong? So you have to pay attention. So how do we get a straight line here? Now, if you have this kind of ruler that has square lines, or you probably have a pattern master like this that has square lines, I'll show you how to do that now. So I do not have a straight line here. Different ways in which I can get a straight line. I can either look for anywhere I have a straight line, whether at the bottom or at the top here. Now this is not a straight line, so I can't use this. This as well is a slanted waistline, so it's possible I cannot use that. But this waistline is straight. But even if I don't want to use the waistline, since the center front and center back are together, I am sure that this is a straight line. I am sure that this is a straight line. I am going to use this. So if my center back was very close to my center front, I could have easily just done this, right? So align this to the center front line, and then just draw my straight line. But because it's not close, what I'll do is I'll use this area, and then follow the straight lines on this ruler. Align it to the center front line. So I've aligned one of those straight lines to the center front line, and I can easily just draw faintly. I've drawn faintly a straight line, an horizontal line. You might not see it, but I've drawn it faintly because I don't want it. I'll still erase it. So after I've done that, I'll take my ruler now and also place it. That's horizontal line that I just draw. Place one of the lines, one of the horizontal lines here. Let it align with that line. Okay? Let it align, because it's a transparent ruler, so I'm going to be seeing everything I'm doing. Let it align with that line. So once it aligns, I can now draw a straight line. This is how you get a straight line. This is how you also square a line. So you can use this, you can always use this as well, because they have square lines. Square lines are just those lines that come straight and horizontal and vertical. So now I have this, and I have my patterns ready. So now how do I cut them on fabric? When cutting your pattern on fabric, your grain line has to be parallel to the selvage. So it means if I'm laying it, I have to lay it this way. So I'm going to cut out this pattern and show you. Alright, so I have, this is my fabric. I'm just basically using a miniature pattern. So this is my center front pattern, and when I'm laying this, I have to lay it parallel to the selvage. So because I can't cut this part, there's a dot line here, and then this part, I'm going to skip that because I don't want that to be part of my pattern. So I'll just skip it. Or if you want to, because most times I know we cut the center front on fold, so you can just place this way and then just follow up with. So you see that the center front line, this line is parallel to this fold here. It has to be parallel. Okay, so you can pin down and cut this way. Now if you are cutting for the center back, remember that this center back is slanted. So what do you want to do? And sometimes you want to leave some allowance for your zipper. What you want to do, you want to pin down the upper part. Okay, so when you pin down the upper part, take your measuring tape and measure from the arrow to the folded edge. So what I have there is 2 inches. Then I'll come to the bottom and also ensure what I have here is also 2 inches. Okay, so this is perfect. And then I can pin this down and I can cut, because sometimes you can try to place it and then it's probably like this. Now when you put it like this, it looks like it's accurate, but let's measure. So with this, I have 2 1/4, which means this is 2 inches, this is 2 1/4, and I'm cutting. But when I'm cutting, I've mistakenly added a quarter and I don't even know, and then you now start having excess on the waist and you're wondering what happened. So to balance that, so that you know that the grain line is parallel to the folded edge, or even if you're not folding it, you measure 2 inches and also come to the bottom and measure. And once you measure, you can pin it down, or if you have a weight, then you can put it. All right, so I also like to show you if you are cutting on a crosswise grain. If you are cutting on a crosswise grain, so it means if you are cutting a crosswise grain, I am just going to use it just like the way I told you to square, aligning one of the lines to match this one, and then I'll just draw the crosswise grain. So this is a crosswise grain, it runs horizontally. So if I'm cutting this way, let's open this up. If I'm cutting this way, remember I said that your grain line has to be parallel to your selvage. If I place my pattern like this, it means I'm cutting on a lengthwise grain. This is a lengthwise grain, okay? But if I have my grain line this way, this is a crosswise grain. So if I'm cutting this way, then I have to place my pattern this way. I have to place, so this line, this grain line still has to be parallel to my selvage, but you see that there's now a change in the way I'm placing my pattern. And then just like I said, when you place this way, measure what you are from here to the selvage. So let's say I want to work with 3 inches, come here and also confirm that it is 3 inches. That's why your grain line needs to be very straight, so then you can pin this down and you cut. Okay, so if I also want to cut on bias, let's use this. If I want to cut on bias, I will just come here and cut, draw at an angle 45. So these are the different ways. This guides you, helping you to cut on your fabric. So remember, placing parallel to your selvage, it means I am going to place it this way. It has to be parallel. Then I'll measure again to confirm I'm placing it accurately. So I'll measure from here. I have 4 1/4. Also measure here. So I have more than 4 1/4 here. It means I'm not placing well. So I'll bring it down a little bit and measure again. I have 4 1/4. Confirm this. I have 4 1/4. And then I can pin down and cut this way. This is me cutting on bias. Okay, this is me cutting on my. So you can see the different ways in which I'm cutting, and then you are realizing that it's changing the direction of the pattern. This is lengthwise, this is crosswise, this is bias. Okay, this is lengthwise, this is crosswise, and this is bias, just from the diagram I gave the other time, but now having them on pattern. So when you place the arrows on your, you can only have one arrow. The arrow is pointing in one direction on one pattern. You can't have all three this way. I only use this as an explanation. Okay, you can't have all three. So you can either have it on lengthwise, on crosswise, or on bias. So whichever one you want. But in all of these directions, what are the effects? Now, when you cut on lengthwise, the way the fabric is, the lengthwise grains are firm. You can see I'm trying to pull them. They are actually very firm. Very firm. This is lengthwise and they are very firm. Okay, this is crosswise. If I pull, it has a little bit of stretch. Not so stretchy, but a little bit of stretch. A little bit of stretch. A little bit. You might not see so much difference, but this is when you feel when you hold it tight, this is firmer. It's more firm than this part, but doesn't stretch so much. But this is more firm than this part. Okay, so this allows you to know that, okay, sometimes you want to make some dresses and you want your horizontal area, maybe like your bust area, to be a bit free, so you can cut your fabric on crosswise grain. For that, it won't give you so much stretch, but at the same time it's not so firm, so it allows your bust area relax a little bit. And then you remember, this is on bias, either like this or like this. So if I'm holding like this, you can see it stretches. This is not a stretchy fabric, but every fabric stretches on bias. Can you see that? Every fabric stretches on bias. Even if I also hold like this, it stretches. Okay, remember, this is lengthwise, doesn't stretch. Crosswise, just a little, but bias has the highest level of stretch. Okay, so you can always know as well when you want to cut on bias. So maybe you want a little bit of stretch in some certain areas, then you know you can cut on bias. Okay, but if you don't, always avoid the cutting on bias if you don't want any stretch at all. The bias area is always stretchy. If you cut on bias, you make your fabric stretchy. Okay, so always avoid cutting on bias if you don't intend to. However, there are some designs that you need to cut on bias, like your cowl neckline, you need to cut them on bias. Waistband and trouser, you need to cut on bias. So some certain styles like that, you need to cut on bias. Okay, so it's important for you to know all of those things, and this also helps. And then one other thing you need to note is that if you start cutting your pattern, so let's say you're making a blouse, this is like a blouse pattern, though it's just ending on the waist. If I'm cutting this on a lengthwise grain, I have to cut this on a lengthwise grain so that it will balance well on my body or on my client's body. So if I'm cutting this on lengthwise, I have to cut this on lengthwise, except if the design says otherwise. But the best way you can do that is to cut all your patterns on the same grain line, to avoid any story that touches the art, Okay, so please always cut, because when you don't do that, for example, if I cut this on bias and I cut this on a straight grain line, it's going to affect it. This would not relax well, it won't balance well. Why this will? Okay, so always cut your patterns on the same grain line. Okay, so in the next video, I'll be showing you how you can use your grain line to achieve different designs different styles. Like the grain lines are really really useful. They have different use apart from them helping you to create balance, having your pattern stable even at the cutting stage. You can use them in creating designs for some fabrics with patterns. So in the next video, I'll be showing you how to do that. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, do everything doable in this video. Okay, you can subscribe. When you subscribe, you will see a bell beside the subscription button. Click on that bell so that you'll be the first person to know whenever I upload a new video. All right, thank you so much. Please share with your friends, tag them. Thank you so much.